Three tits is all I remember about that movie. How about I wouldn't get.
Oh my God.
This next one's gonna get me. Tell me the best ways I can incorporate Star Trek into my Match.com profile. Then little mouse arrow turned into a vagina.
Mainstays are multi-instrumentalist Tanner Swenson and Sammy Salty. And there's a lot on offer.
I think it's Sammy Sadie.
All right, take two.
The guitar player, the planter's peanut. This is amazing.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.
We were talking about old people being stubborn.
Yeah.
I
would say the generation before us, boomers, very, very stubborn. Yeah.
So to protect the innocent, we'll just say this woman's name is Zippy.
Yeah.
Well, it's short for Zipporah, but it's Zippy. She came to the doctor's office with a plot in mind.
Oh dear.
And a little background, which I figured out later.
Yeah.
She lives at some assisted living place and she hates the food there. Absolutely hates the food there.
Yeah.
With a passion.
Okay.
So her major plot was that she was going to order from this little gourmet grocery store we have that makes, sandwiches and hot prepared things as well.
Yeah.
And she was going to get it delivered to the doctor's office. Now, maybe they don't deliver to her assisted living facility and she really likes Eddie's, but she was not willing to pay the full price for delivery. So her angle was to come to me and see if anyone else wanted to order lunch with her and split the delivery cost.
Who makes a doctor's appointment and then comes in and says, "Where are you getting carry out? I want in." Who does that?
So
who wants to eat at the doctor's office?
I told her that there was a food truck there that day.
Yeah.
So there was food and she wouldn't have to pay the delivery charge. I even told her where the food truck was.
I can see where this is going. You're being too helpful again. Yeah.
She exited the office and then she came back and we had the exact conversation a second time where she solicited me to order lunch with her.
Well, she came up to the window and said, "I want to get food from Eddie's all over again."
It was like the same conversation.
Oh man, that's psychotic.
And I was like,
Wow.
And I said back again, "Well, there's a food truck here today."
You just went through the whole thing all over again.
I was like, why did we just have that conversation twice?
I'm so sorry.
She's so stubborn. And then I still think she sat out there and ordered. I don't know whatever happened.
I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't mean to overstep my bounds. You say that. What? Meeting is adjourned. It is? No, you say that. What? Meeting is adjourned. It is? Here, play around with this for a while. That's what you just described, basically. Oh, but speaking of that, right? This is how sad my life used to be. I want to say about 3 or 4 years ago, my ex's grandmother was in an assisted living place. And I thought it was something manor. Anyway, we would go see her and I loved it there. I mean, I wanted in. I wanted to say that's how miserable my life was. I was like, book club, crab cakes for lunch. Nobody bugging me, nobody bothering me saying, fix this, repair that. I was like, she didn't like it because she hated the food because she was allergic to seafood.
Oh God.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember that I was like, I want to move in now. I'm ready. That was where I was in my life. I was ready to, at the age of 45, I wanted in. Yeah, so
love some good crab cakes if you're.
Well, if you're allergic to seafood, then
if you live in Maryland, you're allergic to seafood. You're in the wrong place.
That's bad luck.
However,
Yeah.
I will say this: a few years ago, cranberries were in everything. Right? When somebody was like, "I don't know who the cranberry salesman is, but he's great."
Yeah.
I
love anything cranberry.
Old Bay's gotten and I think they've gotten a little crazy.
Old Bay ice cream.
Old Bay. They put Old Bay on goldfish. This ends today.
Yeah.
What do we say in the liquor store? Old Bay vodka.
People were raving about it too, weren't they?
Well, the only thing I can imagine it would be good in is like a Bloody Mary, which I'm not a huge proponent of anyway. But I think that's going a little far to have an entire container of Old Bay vodka.
That's a lot, yeah.
So I think they're getting a lot.
I love me some Old Bay though.
You just had some on your hash browns.
Indeed, yeah.
you'd like to find out how to make them, you have to go to our Patreon page though and subscribe.
Indeed. We'll get to that. So, remember when you lost your phone the other day? Yeah.
I've lost my phone twice in the past 2 years.
We're getting a bigger backpack style purse for Stace so that this stops happening because it was falling out of the top basically.
I mean, when I worked at a restaurant, people were constantly, at least once a day, somebody turned in a phone.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But here's the thing. So when you're the one who's lost their phone, it kind of feels you don't exist anymore because you can't make calls, you can't receive calls, you can't check social media pages, you can't make restaurant reservations, and you can't Uber or send an email. So it's like
can't do anything. Remember?
Am I really here? Do I exist?
When we were in Houston and you were at work and I was trying to order food because there was no place to walk to.
Yeah, through a laptop. Yeah.
Through a laptop, but everything does the second step verification.
Yeah.
So it wanted to send a code to my phone I didn't have.
Hi, I've lost my phone. No problem. We've just sent the code to your phone. We'll take care of this immediately. It doesn't make any sense.
That really made me mad because the last one I left in an Uber, and you have to imagine people leave phones in Ubers every day. You know,
I have a really fucked up way of handling the problem.
But when you go to log in to say you lost your phone and you click, I lost my phone, it says, great, we sent a code to your phone.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
What? Why?
It took over a day for you to finally get a hold of the driver.
Yeah.
Even though you had all his info and everything.
And finally, yes, the very nice guy brought it back. You
got a nice tip.
Yeah, and they charge you $20 for that, by the way. But that's fine. It was, worth it to get your phone back, because you're suddenly a real person again.
When you don't have it, it's like this. So the hostess at the restaurant says, Marchman, table for 4. Well, he lost his phone. And she'll say, oh, so table for 3 then. You don't exist.
Reminds me, what's the sci-fi one where you have credits on your skin and the only way
Black
you
Mirror?
I can't remember, but you have like credits on your skin.
I don't think I've seen that one. I remember the Black Mirror where everywhere she went, like she bought a cup of coffee and the guy was like, did it?
On Mars with Schwarzenegger, maybe. But you
Total Recall.
Yeah, credits on your skin and you had to like scan it. And if you got in real trouble, they took away your scanner and you couldn't do anything. That's what it feels like. That's exactly what it feels like.
The reason why I didn't know what movie it is because when you say Total Recall, the 80s version, you have to say the movie with the girl with 3 tits. 3 tits is all I remember about that movie. Yeah.
And Sharon Stone. I remember Sharon Stone.
No, the 3 tits. What was the movie Arnold Schwarzenegger was in with 3? The girl had 3 tits. Oh, Total Recall. So any man would be like, oh, that, Any other detail sketchy. But yeah, I have no idea what the hell the plot was, but all I remember is the girl had 3 tits. Anyway, but getting back to the technology thing.
Yeah.
So few people realize this. When cell phones and internet and everything started to kind of come about, the millennials that have become so famous for being so good with this stuff, they were too young. And it was unthinkable that they would need cell phones at such a young age. So it became the task of our generation to teach the baby boomers how to deal with this new technology. And it was fucking painful, I'll tell you what. But then there's the Luddites and the slider thing.
Yeah.
Talk about that. That freaked me out.
Phenomenon. And I know of 2 ladies, both of them are women, where this will happen.
Those ladies are women?
Sorry.
Sure one of the ladies isn't a man?
Sorry. I know of 2 people who have this phenomenon, and both of them are ladies. I don't know of any men.
But are they female though? That's the question.
Last I looked, yeah.
You looked.
I flipped them over.
They're asexual, right?
Lifted up their tails and checked.
Anyway, so these 2 people, right?
But
that happen to be female.
Well,
was one of them a man?
No.
Sorry. Anyway,
but a lot of these people, and I'm sure you know someone about it. Everything they come into contact with technology, they're not only. It's not that they can't operate it, but they actually break it or it won't work properly.
They have a weird effect on technology.
And there's a theory that these people have some kind of magnetic force or high energy, maybe that's stress or emotional related, that causes electronics near them to malfunction.
Electromagnetic waves or some sort of pheromone or something. Yeah.
Even my ex-mother-in-law, who is very manic and very intense, cannot wear a watch. She will break the watch.
But that article you sent me about these people, the sliders. The SLI is street light interference. That's where the article you sent me said that when you used to go to a watchmaker to get your watch, they were so familiar with it that they had a technique for it. They would tape a coin underneath the watch so it didn't actually come in contact with your skin. There's people that have like 30 broken watches in their closet because they disrupt the mechanisms. It's crazy. But talk about your dance teacher.
Oh, she was definitely one of them. And she was also kind of, well, is not was an intense person. But like when we were in the studio,
Crazy as hell. Go ahead.
she had a stereo she would hook her phone into, so we would play music. On more than one occasion it would not work, and she was never able to fix it. Sometimes someone from the class was able to fix it. Sometimes we just listened to danced at phone volume. It was like, and then after the pandemic we switched to a Zoom class, and
I witnessed that. This is pure comedy.
Oh my god, it was just
it's a half-hour class, but you spend 10 minutes. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Is the music
Is the music on?
Give me a thumbs up if it's loud enough. Okay, everybody mute themselves. So it was, and
the screen would freeze up or zap out entirely. I mean, it's freaky stuff. So I was thinking, these slider people, are they the key to fighting the effects of our growing technocracy?
It's gonna be like,
should we like make them an army so they can, stop the 1% from manipulating? I'm starting to sound like Alan Averill. Never mind. Stop.
Well, it's gonna be like if machines ever took over, these people would be the saviors of society, because we would just throw them at the technology, and then
never mind the fact that they're all freaking crazy nutballs that you don't want to be around. But thanks for saving us from technology.
You never know who's going to.
But all right. So getting back to the baby boomers. All right. I remember my father uttered this sentence at the time when his office was forcing him to have a BlackBerry. This is when BlackBerries first came out. He actually said, well, if I can't use Lotus Notes on this, what the hell good is it? Yeah.
We know someone who still uses Dropbox. Who uses Dropbox?
Yeah, don't make fun of my 8-tracks.
Google Docs, folks.
Don't make fun of my 8-tracks if you're using Dropbox. So, getting back to my father, he also insisted they would upgrade their flat screen larger. And every time he insisted that he had to run the cable through his old analog stereo. He wouldn't use wireless or anything, or get like a bar, anything modern, right? It would never work. He'd have to Comcast come out and look at it. My mom would be rolling her eyes. The sound never worked right. And I remember I would just casually say, "Oh yeah, we got a new TV for the bedroom," and she would say, my mom would say, "How many days did it take you to get it working?" And I'm like, we had it set up in 10 minutes." And I remember I said to my father one time, I said, "Why don't you just go ahead and run the air conditioning through the can opener while you're at it? You're probably better luck with that." It's just ridiculous. But again, so stubborn, would never change, would never, there was a guy that I worked with in the early 2000s. This company had a lot of old geezers working there. He printed out every email he ever got.
Oh my God.
I remember one time we were together, and he had this big like Ford LTD. Opened up his trunk. It had like 3 of those big boxes of paper. It was all his emails.
Oh my God. They're not gonna go away.
His car started to have suspension problems from it. And I just remember, like, we used to say that one of us was gonna like go behind him and drop an errant match to solve that problem. Yeah.
Well, what about my dad with I got him a Chromecast because I thought that it would, it would give him an opening into the world of YouTube and other things that he could watch and cast to the TV. There's a lot of old shows that you can't watch online anymore that you can if you have the app.
Yeah.
And I very happily gave it to him, hooked it up for them. And he was like, I was trying to tell him how to cast. He says, "I don't like this abracadabra shit. I liked my TV the way it was." So
abracadabra shit. Well, remember, like, what else about your dad? What did he used to do when he texted?
Every time he texted me, and God rest his soul, he would sign off every text message, "Love, Dad."
Right. Because we didn't know, where's this text coming from?
It didn't come in as Dad's cell.
And then
and he thought LOL meant lots of love,
The cat died, LOL. The crying emoji thing.
Yeah, my mother still does this.
And we have told her this multiple times. Again, stubborn. Go ahead.
The face it's laughing so hard they're crying, she uses like in place of the sad emoji or the actual crying emoji. And I've tried to explain it to her. She still uses it.
Right. Nancine was just diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm laughing my ass off. That's literally what she's doing.
Oh.
She won't change. She won't change. Oh, another weird guy I knew. It was his uncle, and obviously he was watching tons of online porn, right? But he didn't know how to do it. And this is the kind of guy that I think any email guy, you just open the attachment. What's this? You know, so there's always getting viruses. My brother has always been in IT. So this uncle was constantly calling him up. I'm going to send you my laptop. It's got another one of those dang viruses. I mean, it was so bad, the little mouse arrow turned into a vagina, he had to get like 5 hard drives wiped because of his lack of. I remember we were like, my brothers and I were like talking about it one day, and I was like, we should go over to Uncle John's and tell him, look, there's a site called Pornhub. We're going to walk you through it. It's virus free. It will remain completely anonymous. Okay. No, we never did it. We didn't do the intervention, but we should have. Oh my gosh! Remember creating your own emojis in the old days?
Oh, and you had to have the flip phones, and you had to do this to text to get to the right letter. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1,
Oh
2,
my
3,
God.
1, 2, and you had to do the. You know what? If you do that on a lot of computers these days,
Yeah.
if you do the caret with the 3 for a heart, it'll just change it into a heart for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Like you really meant this.
Right.
Or sticking your tongue out with the colon with the P.
What about like when you used to
Trying to
actually
get
have to
creative.
pay for ringtones? Remember that?
Oh, I did too. It was like I used to have would assign people ringtones sometimes. My mom still has different tones for text messages, so she knows if it's me or my sister. She thought it was a great thing. She's like, text me so you can hear your tone. I was like, okay.
After I left the job with the guy that printed all his emails, there were a lot of geriatric people at this job. The little old ladies that used to work there, they would email me, and their emails would always have like all these religious pictures in them and this fancy background and little attachments. You click the envelope and like a cartoon cat would pop out and say, hope your day's perfect.
God.
It was like, all right, no more emails from Ruby. I'm not opening them,
My mom got into the. Remember, e-cards were big for a while.
Yeah.
Like you
The
can
invites they are still right.
e-invites. I mean, my daughter still uses
Yeah.
e-invites or evites.
Evites, right?
But she would just send an e-card for, every birthday, every holiday. You would get that.
Your daughter's female, right? Sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
Never living it down. Never living it down. But it was you could actually subscribe to the service to get the premium e-card.
Oh, that's fancy stuff.
I did for a while, and it was Blue Mountain, I think the company. I guess they're still around, but I think that kind of fell out of vogue for whatever reason. But it was always the same thing, like you said. They were 60 seconds long, and my ADD had kicked in, and I couldn't even watch them. They were a bird flitting around. How is this going to end? I don't care.
A vagina flitting around. This says my mother-in-law was in her late 60s when she got a cell phone for the first time. And I remember we were all on vacation together. And it was sitting behind her, and we're talking, and her phone rang like 9 times. And she just kept on chatting away. She never even acknowledged it. And I said to her, Mom, why don't you get your phone? And she goes, oh, I like the song when it rings.
Oh my God.
It's like, well, that's someone trying to get a hold of you. Now this same woman, I remember one time we're out somewhere, and she said, I have to get a new laptop. My old one is full from pictures. She used the laptop just for pictures.
That's Jim Gaffigan does a whole thing about that, where he's like, this is my wedding computer.
Oh my God.
This is my computer from when I was single. I should probably
You'd be like, well, never mind. Because they're not going to listen. They're too fucking stubborn. My old boss, his wife worked there too, and it was a very complicated kind of system he had. But I was delegated I was the one he would call into his office when he would get little porn videos via Real Player, attachments, and he would be like, all right, where's the door? See if you can get this open, right? Because he had no idea, right? And it would be like, remember Real Player, all the buffering, and eventually a set of tits would pop up, like a grainy set of tits. 5 minutes later, just the rapture, It'd be like, okay,
wow.
yeah, whatever.
Horrible.
So, yeah, that was that falls under other responsibilities. Opening up porn for your boss in Real Player. The thing I use to download videos like this, it's very aggressive. It always puts that fucking thing in the corner. New video added, and it'll be like Beyonce or something. I'm like, that's not my style. Anyway, okay, let's talk about our feature interview this week. We're featuring the UK thrash band Zentrex. Go ahead.
we have a great conversation with mainstay guitarist Kristian Havard.
Yep.
He takes us through stories of the band, how they were discovered and signed. They've been around since, early, late 80s.
Is it early?
Fuck, I can't read this.
Zentrex has been around since like 87 or something like that, I think, isn't it?
Their first they first changed their name to Zentrex in 1988.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Not one too far off.
they've been around a long time. They have a new album out, 7 Words.
What are the 7 words?
We'll have to ask
We'll
him.
have to ask him. Yeah.
But lots of melodic guitar, lots of strong drums, lots of fast beats.
If you're into stuff like Testament, Overkill, you'll love these guys. Anyway, so we talk about the mysterious 7 words. What are they? His love of welding, and he's got a lot of great stories he shares with us. So stay tuned for that. Why don't you introduce the song?
This is from the 1990 Zentrex record. Here's the title track, To Whose Advantage?
Okay, let's talk about Patreon. Loaded at this point with exclusive content that you can only get through being one of our Snaggletooth minions. Get over to patreon.com/Snaggletooth Podcasts and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on Facebook. Say hi on Instagram.
We have some music stuff. We have some non-music stuff. I'll even give you hacks that I have with hash browns, how to make them from a potato.
Satanic hash brown. Yeah.
I give you my exercise tips.
And this week, we added a wacky video of Stace and I at the bowling alley.
You can only meet a woman of my stature at a bowling alley.
Exactly. Bad bowling, but good beer. So again, another short exclusive content. Get over to Patreon now to see it. We're getting swag over there. I'm working on it. We've got beer koozies. Oh, they're more like Worcestershire sauce koozies. But who doesn't need that?
I'm getting the big ones.
Yeah.
Also, we have coffee cups.
Coffee cups.
We have swag with t-shirts. And
Almost.
This is only available by becoming a subscriber.
Okay. Okay, lots of talk about AI lately. I mean, that fucking kick-ass goat charge thing you see behind us was created through AI software. That stuff, it could put graphic artists out of business. I mean, the technology is way beyond that at this point. That app I use for that is called Canva. You can just type in descriptive words, satanic goat charging, and it comes up with that, So, there's a lot of controversy that they've started to put out AI generated music on YouTube. Like there's an AI generated Metallica song. And I mean, again, I think the technology is way advanced beyond that, but it's pretty close. We were talking about it, and a lot of the musicians are concerned about it, graphic artists are concerned about it. But I think one area that's safe is comedy. Do you agree?
Yeah. Whenever we ask Google to make us laugh. Okay, Google, make us laugh.
Here's a joke for Valentine's Day.
Mm.
How did the fire fall in love? It found its perfect match.
Do the rim shot.
Okay, so I've given it a little bit of thought, and if we end up switching to AI for our comedy, here's what it's going to be like.
Oh my God.
Hey, it's great to be here tonight. Thanks, everyone. Hey, I had a woman reach out to me because her PC was running slow. I told her to empty out her cache, and she said, "Can I just use a credit card instead?" I was explaining to another infidel human what a terabyte is. He said, "If terabytes, couldn't you put a muzzle on her?" Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Malware.
Malware who?
Mal, wear a jacket. It's cold outside. I was trying to find out if the user's desired font had serifs. The guy said, "I don't think we have one, but I'm friends with the county executive. Will that work?"
Yeah, don't succumb to AI comedy. That's what we're in for. All right, and I was kind of along the same lines. I was thinking about, how our phones are basically constantly listening. Like Google knows everything about us, everywhere we go on the map, everything we say.
If I so much as
Everything we
pause
searched for.
at an ad, like I happened to pause, this woman was using a curling iron.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to see what she was going to do with it or what she was going to claim this curling iron was going to do. So I paused for like 5 seconds, looked at it, didn't click on anything. I am constantly getting ads for curling irons now because I looked at it for 5
I
seconds.
believe it. I believe it. So I was thinking, what if we tried to fuck with our phone? Like, what if, because it's constantly listening. What if we tried to like kind of poison the well a little bit? What would it take? You know, all right, so you lock the phone away for a day to kind of reset it. And then what would you like put a destination into Google Maps, and every time it tells you which way to turn, do the opposite. You know, turn left, go right. Make sure your phone is listening or your devices are listening, and just start discussing how Dom DeLuise is your favorite actress.
What about how that meme was going around that I shared with you, where it was like the perfect way to get your spouse to get what you want is to do a search for what you want on his phone or computer.
Oh, and then
All of a
just keep
sudden,
getting
you'll get ads
right.
for what you want.
That's funny. Yeah.
It is scary though. Sometimes you can just talk about something and just start getting ads.
I'm telling you, this is I think I have a way of defeating the machine, right? So either Google or say things like this. Why is it legal in Arkansas to have 12 wives? Right, you know.
I found an interesting rock on the walk to the grocery store.
What cheese is made from the milk of Shania Twain?
Can peanut butter be used in a plumbing repair?
Which animals are capable of election fraud?
Can turtles be used as slave labor? 12 uses for figs. Although we did have a fig actually incident happened on Neighborhood app where someone went on the Neighborhood app to find figs. It was weird.
Yeah. And there were like 144 responses. I have some, come on by.
It was figs. Randomly.
It was so
It was
weird.
extra figs.
How about please list all fluids acceptable for baptism. Beer, soda, Ajax. I want to know.
How about careers where you can wear hand sanitizer and nothing else?
Good one. Good one. How about I wouldn't get
Oh my God.
this next one's gonna get me. Tell me the best ways I can incorporate Star Trek into my Match.com profile.
You're gonna dress like Captain Kirk in your profile picture? Do the Vulcan symbol?
Hello, ladies.
Imagine what I could do with this.
Let's go where no man has ever gone before, ladies. Oh my God, I'm crying. All right, why don't you finish it off?
Final frontier.
Why don't you finish it off? Because I can't. The Star Trek thing got me.
Let's talk about compulsive Tupperware burping. But so it's OCD.
10 ways easy off can improve your hairstyle. Yeah. We'll just keep doing that until the phone or the computer starts to smoke. And then we'll be like, yes, we've defeated it. All right, are we ready for another Zentrex song?
Yes, please. From Zentrex, this is the title track from their 2022 incredible album. This is 7 words.
What are they? Is one of them female? We're back.
All right. A word from our sponsor, as it were.
Yes.
I have this handy dandy app on my phone for them. They are called Imperfect Foods. They recently have kind of merged with Misfit Markets. So what that means is even more products that they can have for you. Now, Imperfect Foods.
I want to watch 101 recipes that you can use with circus peanuts.
I always like that cooking show where they give you stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
You have to, all you can do with that is melt it down and, make some kind of sugary syrup.
Yep. Anyway, sorry, back to Imperfect. Sorry.
So Imperfect is they used to only do produce. They've now expanded. So they have all kinds of snacks, produce, meats, meat alternatives, dairy, pantry staples, pretty much they've even have skincare and things now. So
How many times throughout the week do I say, Stace, we're out of pantry staples?
So
my pantry staple gun is empty.
They make it super easy for you. You can put in your address and they can let you know if you're in their delivery area.
You could put in a fake address and have them driving around. Rage against the machine. Sorry, anyway, go ahead.
And when your delivery day comes up, you can either order from your PC, you can order right from the app. Also, they use broken and produce that might be a little wonky. We got really big carrots one time, or really small apples another time.
She had really big carrots, but she was still a nice person.
There might be broken rice. They might give you chocolate covered pretzels that are broken, but you are indeed helping the world and reducing your carbon footprint. So all this gets delivered directly to your door. You don't have to fight with coupons. You don't have to deal with the high prices in the supermarket. The supermarket is ridiculous right now. All this gets delivered directly to your door in a box. They have ice in it, so it doesn't matter when it's delivered. And you can get yummy stuff too. So use our link and it will save you $20 off your first order.
Very good. And there's the sound we're waiting for. It is time for Wax of Contrition. So we're going to feature a band called Inter Arma this week. Inter Arma are kind of a hybrid post-metal, sludge metal, black metal band from Richmond. And they took the time, back when I had a music webzine, they took the time to box and send me a hand-numbered copy of their debut vinyl back in 2010. The problem is that was the week I was shutting down the webzine. So I don't know if I ever told you about that, but we were getting so much physical product for review that when I shut down the webzine, the post office got pissed at me because they had to do return to sender, return to sender, return to sender. I closed the P.O. box. I went into that post office 6 months later and they were still mad. They were like, he's here. They were like, it was so much work. We had to turn away so much stuff. We had to send stuff back to Italy, back to England, back to,
God.
I was like, I'm sorry, I closed the website. Sorry, it's not my fault. Don't yell at me. Anyway, getting back to Inner Armor here. Here's the first album. Let me grab it here. All right, this is not the first Inner Armor album. I don't know how I ended up with this, but this is a good record. Steve Martin's Stand Up was pretty much unparalleled back in the 70s when he was in the white suit era.
Yeah.
I mean, the banjo playing, the balloon animals. He does a bit where he says, let's make fun balloon animals. Oh, wait a minute. I've already done that. And he says, you know what? I don't like to repeat. So I'm going to make balloon animals, but I won't blow them up.
Oh my
He's like,
God.
there's a dog. There's a pony. And then he's like, the best thing about Steve Martin to me, and I wish he would have stayed with this style before he started making all those crazy movies, was the mock arrogance. The being arrogant and not knowing what the fuck you're talking about was just so great. He was the master of that. Like and a lot of that really seeped into my personal style of comedy. But I mean, like he did a thing where he's like, I want everyone to know that I successfully landed a new form of transportation at the LAX airport this week. And everyone claps and applauds. And he goes, it's not easy landing a station wagon in LAX, but we found a way to do it. Just again, the mock arrogance. Steve Martin, early stuff. Got to check it out.
Don't be jealous of my wine swag.
Yeah. He wanted her to sing from her diaphragm. I mean, that would take years to learn. All right, back in a row. Sorry about that. What would be for there?
I thought this was
What the
going
fuck
to
am
be
I
an
talking about?
apology to them.
Yes, I do apologize. This is it. This is the debut. This is the record that they sent me 13 years ago. And I'm just now getting around to reviewing it, but it is great. Actually, I love Inner Armor. They became one of my favorite bands. So they have this riffy combination of sludge and death metal. This is actually my favorite record from them. It's got kind of a Neurosis dystopia vibe to it. This is very raw, this debut. When they play slow, they can grind the enamel right off your teeth. I mean, there's a song called Sundown. It's just monstrous, the grinding guitars. And subsequently, when they play fast, they are just fucking deadly. Listen to a song like All Time Low. The drummer is just incredible. TJ Childers is his name. He's all power and lots of finesse. There's even at this early stage, there's a finger-picked acoustic interlude on it called Prognosticate. It adds kind of a little bit of sophistication to the brutality. And there's a crust-like tone to the drumming. It's like, I don't know whether it's just mic placement or what, but his double bass pumps and the ride cymbal swishes are earthy and proximate. It's almost like a demo session, but this is my favorite record. It's very raw. Well, there you go. About 13 years late, but there's the review for Inter Arma's debut. Let's play a song.
You can thank me, Inner Armor, for encouraging him to get back into his first love.
Yep.
Which was me. Oh, wait. Music.
This is Inter Arma. Wax of Contrition Part 2. We're going to stick with Inter Arma. Their second record that came out in 2013 is called Sky Burial. There's some production on this record. It's different from the rawness of the debut. There's a little more post-rock elements on this one. The 10-minute track, The Long Road Home, definitely it steps into Pink Floyd territory. There's a lot of David Gilmour-esque guitar bits, which is usually not, I usually don't like that kind of shit, but these guys managed to pull it off without losing me. And it's probably because of the drummer. TJ Childers is just, he goes nuts for intervals of the songs and breaks up so you're not snoozing. It's not like listening to,
Comfortably Numb.
One of These Days or something like that just goes on and on. The title track is over 13 minutes, but it's all Neurosis informed booming, and then it fades into some psych and prog sections, and then it ends with this big crescendo, like almost like a hardcore punk style speedball. It's great. So it's tricky stuff, but the band would kind of get out of the Floyd stage and they would move on, which I like that, because a lot of bands, once they go Floyd, they never go back, type of thing, But subsequent releases after this one were great. 2016's Paradise Gallows was great, and 2019 Sulphur English were great. And I got to get them on vinyl too. So let's play a song. Go ahead and introduce us from Sky Burial.
This is The Blood.
Okay, that was great. Why don't we introduce the interview now?
Love this band. Really loved our talk with Kristian. Awesome from front to back. This has been such a consistent band, and they've done nothing but stay true. Their current album reflects that.
What are the 7 words?
Front to back, every single song will have you headbanging, tapping your foot.
It makes me want to interview only English bands, basically. Because they do things like the English say things like they'll say something and then they question it. Like they'll say, well, I don't know, do I? Like they're the only people that do that, Well, I didn't have one, did I? No, you said you didn't. I don't know. Anyway, here's the interview with Kristian. Oh, well, thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it.
No problem.
Really loving 7 words. It's a great record. One of our favorites of
Thank you.
Yes, it was really good. if nothing, you guys have got nothing but harder and faster and more layers every time.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. I'm just waiting for the lime green. I'm waiting for the lime green vinyl.
Lime green
vinyl.
I think there wasn't. No, there wasn't a lime green one. There was blue and some sort of like weird yellow one. But yeah, it's good. Yeah. Where are you guys?
We're in Baltimore, Maryland, U.S. Yeah.
Right.
So we're on East Coast time.
So what time is it there now?
It's 2 in the afternoon.
1.
Oh, 1 in the afternoon.
Oh, okay. 1 in the afternoon. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are not a lot of thrash bands from the UK that I can recall. Like, I mean, I loved
right.
Obviously Sabbath and Sacrilege UK and Pariah, Satan Pariah. That was all really good stuff. But I mean, what was it? What was the scene like in the UK for thrash bands back in the day?
It was. I mean, we did our first tour with Sabbath, so they were one of the leaders really for us. That's where we met Andy and sort of stayed friends with him. Yeah. But there was other bands that are still, and they're coming back, and they're sort of following our leads and sort of like having midlife crises and starting the band up again. There's a band called Acid Rain who they brought out a new album just before lockdown, before COVID. There's another band called Slammer you should really check out. Those guys are going to resurface again. Obviously there was Onslaught. You must have heard of Onslaught.
Oh yeah, Onslaught. Yeah.
yeah. They were another band that did sort of quite well. It was kind of like a close knit community, but I think we had like a very short lived sort of period of the being a scene. It felt like it didn't last that long. You know, we got to the point where just things started to change, and then like, you know, because we were kind of like the tail end of it. So thrash metal became like a bit of a sort of dirty word, should we say? And
I remember that. I remember that.
yeah. Nobody wanted to use those words, and nobody wanted to be a thrash band. And you know, it was kind of like everybody wanted to be something different, on you know. So yeah, it was kind of a strange thing, but we're still sort of friends, and we're still sort of like Facebook friends, and you know, when we see them in person, you know, it's still like a bit of a thing.
I always blame that on Rust in Peace. It was like that was the last gasp, and you couldn't get any better than that. So everything started to fall apart. You know what I mean? It was like such a fucking incredible album. I was like, well, that's it for thrash. You know, what else we got? You know.
You were on originally when you changed the name from Sweet Vengeance to Zentrex. How did that come about?
I have no idea. No idea whatsoever. It was one of those strange sort of like when we got signed to Roadrunner Records back in '88, and they actually we recorded this demo. It was actually for my 18th birthday.
Oh wow.
My dad paid for it for my birthday present. It was like a local studio had like a deal on, you know, it was like £100 to go and record for a weekend. So I was like, I want that for my 18th, Dad. And he was like, okay. So we went and did that demo, and we sent it to all the record labels that we could find at the time. And we managed to get it reviewed in a magazine called Metal Forces.
Oh yeah.
And they gave us a great review of this demo. And Roadrunner, Mark from Roadrunner, actually, I can't remember if I think he rang up Dennis, our drummer, and he must have had his number on the review or something. And he rang him up and just said, like, why haven't you sent Roadrunner Records this demo? We hadn't sent it to them. And we were like, I don't know. Well, we'll send you one now. And then from then it became this thing where we did have a manager at the time, and he spoke to Mark, and he said, "Oh right, yeah, we've sorted out a showcase gig for you to come up to the north. We're in the north of England. He was in London." He said, "Yeah, come up. It's like 4-hour journey." It's like, and we hadn't got a gig. It was a complete lie, and we just played in this like pub, this room in this pub just to him. You know, but we made sure he got there, and that was it. He couldn't go home, so he just had to sort of watch us. And yeah, we got a deal the next day. And I've completely forgotten what your original question was. What was it now?
How did you come up with the name change?
The name, that was it. Sorry, yeah. So they said, yeah, we want to offer you a deal. Sweet Vengeance is too much of an old-fashioned new wave of British heavy metal name.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
It was. Yeah. Because that's kind of what we were coming from. And he was like, right, you need to come up with a name really quickly. And I just remember this process of everybody going through like dictionaries and looking for names that, I mean, we kind of sort of came up with this idea that we said, well, let's try and find something that isn't identifiable with anything else. So we kind of like, we wanted that. If you can equate it to like trying to find like a domain name now, you know, it's like the word Google, you know what I mean? It was like that type of idea. We just wanted something that was just associated with us. Unfortunately, that name has been hijacked by loads of things since then. We thought we'd come up with it. We were like the first, but I don't think we were anyway. But there's been like, you know, if you've ever watched Rick and Morty, if you watched, I think it's the second series, or maybe it's the third series, Rick and Morty, there's like a design studio in India that comes up with Xentrix Studios. And we're like, what? Like my wife said, didn't you say Zentrex on the end of Rick and Morty? I'm like, no. And we like froze the credits, and it's like, there it is. I think there's a subwoofer that you can buy for your car stereo that's a Zentrex one. There's a hockey stick and some skis, I think. There's all these like weird things that just pop up, you know. I was like, that's our rubbish name. Get your own.
So you've obviously been playing music since you were a teen and guitar. Was your family like real supportive when you first started out?
Yes, I think I remember when I was like maybe 16, and started putting like patches on my denim, and getting into metal music and stuff. Well, pretty bit early now, but when I remember when being 16 at this point, and my dad was like to my mum, what's going on with him, and she was just like, don't worry, it's just a phase he's going through. Here I am.
Such a mom thing to say. Yeah.
53, yeah, but they're just like, I mean, like I said, my parents just helped me. They used to drive us to things and lend us money, and I think that's what most bands have probably got that story. Otherwise, they wouldn't get anywhere. You do need that sort of backbone of, your parents helping you out, and just, we were quite lucky in that respect.
I admire that you wanted to get into the studio at 18. All I remember from that age is just wanting alcohol. That's all I cared about.
Well, there was the two things.
That was number two, right? Studio first, then alcohol.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, when I joined the band, everything was quick. We were just like, right, I can't believe, looking back, how much we did in a very short space of time in the early days. Because we did our first album, and then the second album was like a year in between. So we literally, you think about that now, that's some going, really. To like release an album, do some touring, and then actually write and record and release another album in that period of time. Wouldn't happen now.
The way the bands did it in the 70s, like Sabbath did the first two albums in 1970. Rooster Cult did two albums the same year. I can't imagine. Purple, I just can't imagine it. And they were on the road, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it's just everything seemed to happen so much quicker. And you'd think it'd be the other way around, because now we've got like the internet and things like that. Things should be easier and quicker. Mobile phones. We didn't have mobile phones. We had to we had to be where we were supposed to be when we said we were going to be there.
Imagine that. Yeah.
I know.
When you came back,
sorry, man. Sorry.
When you came back with Bury the Pain in 2019, it couldn't have been worse timing. Have you seen it gain traction since? Because the pandemic, you couldn't tour.
Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things. It was the same for everybody, though, wasn't it? It was. We the thing with Bury the Pain was we recorded it 2 years before it came out with our original singer Chris, so he did all the vocals for it. And then when we finished recording it, for whatever reason, he just decided, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. And we were like, well, we just spent a lot of time doing an album. Why don't you want to do it anymore? He's like, nah, I just don't. I don't want to do music anymore. So we then had to sort of park everything and spend 2 years trying to find another vocalist. And then that took up a lot of time. Then when we got Jay back in, we re-recorded all those sort of vocals with him. And then we got to do a handful of shows, and then everything stopped. It was just, COVID just sort of like ground everything to a halt, and it was just one of them things, wasn't it? It was the same for everyone. So we decided to just, what can we do? We'll just start writing again. So we just started writing 7 words,
We're seeing the opposite. We're seeing I guess the inverse of that now. So much music was recorded during lockdown that it's I mean, there's always a lot, but it's insane right now. The amount of bands and releases is just, it's like 30% more than I've ever seen. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
I felt like now that this 7 words is out, that you guys will be able to really capitalize on Bury the Pain now too.
Yeah.
Because they're both great.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, people are kind of like, hopefully one will open up to the other, and we'll see. We'll see. I mean, a lot of people I've spoken to on the internet or in person have been telling us that they liked Bury the Pain, but they love the new record, which is great, which is like what we want to hear, So we're on the right track, you know. And we've got like the thing about the new record is it's the first album that we've done with this lineup. So even though the last record was with the same lineup, it was already pre-done beforehand. So this is the first one with this lineup, if you know what I mean, if that makes sense. So like with Jay, he was involved in, you know, more of the musicality of it than on the last one. So hopefully that's it's a good sign for the way things are going. Let's hope so.
Yeah, because he probably adds a little different nuance because everybody brings their own thing.
Yes, definitely. I mean, a massive amount, I would say. I mean, one of the great things about it with this band is that we all really get on really well. You know, we're all like best friends almost. You know, it's like we don't live in each other's pockets because we don't live near each other that much. But we're always constantly like WhatsApp stupid messages and stuff, you know, like ridiculous childish things all the time. So it's cool, and it keeps us going. It keeps like the input going, and everybody sort of like putting their little influence into the music, you know what I mean? Everybody's like kind of like there's nobody going, you know, even though I know I do a lot of the music writing, but it's not just me. I know that when I present it to everyone else, they put their little sort of thing on it, you know what I mean? It's the four of us, definitely. So it's like it's those ingredients. So it's cool. It's and you know, it's great fun. That otherwise we wouldn't do it. We didn't like it.
Yeah, it's definitely good. It's a perfect blend of ingredients. I love your cover art though, but I had a question. Is that the same guy like from 3 albums ago, and he's just slowly becoming more disheveled? The dude with the tie. Does he have a name?
Well, it is, yes. So it's the guy from the second record in 1990 from Fru's Advantage. And when we did Bury the Pain, Dan, who's the artist, said, you know, oh, let's use that guy. We were like, oh yeah, okay, cool. So it's him, like, you know, with the demons on his shoulders telling him what to do. And then in this one, it was like, right, we're gonna have him again. So like, you know, and the only reason you can actually tell it's him this time is the tie. That's the only giveaway. You know what I mean? So we should sell those, shouldn't we? We should definitely merch those. Zentrex ties.
Yeah. Everybody needs their own merch angle. Yeah, exactly.
You could have him run out on
definitely.
stage during shows, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Throw a Molotov cocktail.
We did actually get because when we were doing the video for 7 Words, we were looking on Amazon and we found a gas mask that's like, I think it's a paintball mask, and it's identical. And we were like, right, I'm gonna buy it. It was only like, you know, £30 or something. It was like, right, let's buy it. We got it, and we were like, no, well, let's leave that out. Let's not have that, you know. We'll tried it on. It was like, no, let's not do that. But yeah, you know. I mean, it's a kind of a Megadeth thing, that, isn't it? You know,
everybody's got to have their own Eddie or you know, their own mask.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, we are taking that idea and having the same sort of character run through artwork, but it's a lot of it's kind of like just knee-jerk reactions to like, what can we have as an album cover? It's like, let's have the same guy. Yeah, it's a good idea. You know, it's like, it's not like, well, with Iron Maiden, they obviously had that sort of like, let's have Eddie on everything. We're not necessarily doing that. We're just kind of like having this sort of like little bit of a thread, you know.
Yeah, I love like exploring merch. I couldn't help but notice you guys have a jigsaw puzzle for Bury the Pain. I was like, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I know. And do you know, I haven't got one. I keep meaning to get hold of one. And it's like, it was, as our merch company said, we've got this idea for jigsaws. Do you want to do it? And we were like, really? You know, like jigsaws, you know. But they were like, yeah, it's great. You know, they've done it for such a band and such a band. And I think it comes in like a sort of a 12-inch circular fashion, almost like a vinyl, you know, that you can buy. But and I still haven't seen one in real life yet. But
that's cool.
Jigsaws.
That's cool merch. Yeah. Gotta be creative.
Exactly.
So, I had a question. I didn't know if you knew the answer, but in 7 words, there's a couple stanzas where it has 7 words, like the end of this has just begun and no love lost, bring me the chaos. Is there a particular 7 words, or is it just could be any?
Well, this record, like I said, this was the one that we had Jay Moore involved in, and he wrote most of the words for this record, apart from one song. So I don't know, and I had to ask him this. It's like, so what are the 7 words? And he's like,
what are the 7 words? Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And he kind of wouldn't tell me. He's like, well, there's 7 words in this, and I've tried to put 7 words in here. Like you said, there's little bits where they've got 7 word sort of phrases in. So I'm a little bit of like I said, I'm going to do all these interviews, and people are going to ask me this stuff. So it is kind of that's the thing. It's those 7 words. The song's about change and revolution, and I think the 7 words are, as far as I could glean from him, from what he told me, it is the no love lost, bring me the chaos. So we'll go with that one.
I like that. Yeah, I figured it wasn't George Carlin's 7 words.
Yeah,
that's a whole
exactly.
different thing.
No, it's not nothing to do with that. I mean, yeah, that was kind of like
right though. If I had been,
yeah.
You're right though. But if I was 18 years old and I got this vinyl, I would tear it apart looking for the 7 words. I would read every bit of the liner notes, look at every picture, and then I'd be like, "What? So you're right. You're right. Yeah."
Well,
Dear Zentrex, I have spent 2 hours looking at
Sorry.
Anything But the Truth, I think, is the most apocalyptic song of the batch. Is that the reason it's placed as the last track?
No. The track order's mainly just down to sort of feel of how the songs feel and flow. Apocalyptic. Anything But the Truth, mainly about how, particularly in lockdown, people were looking for anything to latch onto, and it was dangerous how these sort of like people with the tin hats were just latching onto anything. So people were just latching onto anything but the truth, and there was all this kind of like conspiracy theories about everything. And that's what that song's about. I don't know if it's necessarily apocalyptic, but it's from that genre, from that time of the apocalyptic time that we all lived through. Yeah.
I think all thrash albums should end with a song like that. The Damage Incorporated, The Raining Blood.
Yeah.
Go out with some speed. I love it. Yeah.
Oh, it was definitely well placed. I thought that was perfect.
Yeah.
So going back, like you had a famous cover song, Ghostbusters. Do they still ask you to do it?
Yes.
Wow.
And I think it became it had an anniversary, I think, the other day. So there was all sorts of things popping up on Facebook. I mean, the Ghostbuster thing was kind of like in 1989 we released our first album, and then we went out on tour supporting Sabbath, and we managed to get a Radio 1, BBC Radio 1, which was like a big deal for us back then, rock show session where they take you into the studios in Maida Vale. You've got a day and you have to record 3 songs for the session. And we literally didn't have any. We just released this new album and we didn't have any other sort of extra songs. Well, we had a couple, and we'd been sort of messing about with this cover version that we'd done a couple of times live, the Ghostbuster thing. So we were like, let's do that. It'll be funny. Okay. Because we were all about, like, not being taking ourselves too seriously, because it was this like kind of like there was a bit of a thing with the differences with the thrash bands would be a little bit more sort of like real and a bit more sort of like controversial, should we say. And then you got this kind of like black metal, death metal thing, and they were all about Satan and things like that. And we were all about like, well, let's just not be quite so satanic or devil worshipping. So let's do
that was
something
the
a bit
era
funny.
too for that, because everybody in the late 80s, all the thrash albums seemed to have a cover. Like it was, remember, Dark Angel
Yes,
did
as well,
Immigrant
yeah.
Song, and it was like, and Testament did an Aerosmith song. So you were right
Yes.
there with everybody else was doing it at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and we kind of threw in the sort of like, let's do this sort of film theme tune, and the Ray Parker Jr. thing. And we kind of, I mean, it's not even that close in when we worked out the riff. There's I've heard other people do it recently, and they get a bit closer. But we kind of had our own thing, and it was just like, yeah, diddly-diddly-do. And so we did that, and we thought that would be it. And then Roadrunner said, "Oh, this is great. We want to release this." And we were like, "Oh, really?" We just thought it'd be a bit of fun on the radio, And we were quite young, and sort of like, our management was like, yeah, it'd be great, So I was like, okay. So off it went, and it got released, and we kind of like went along with it for a while, And then it became this like, oh, you're that band that did Ghostbusters, and that was it, and nobody knew anything else about us. So it became a little bit annoying to us then, and we were like, well, we've done other things, So that's kind of like, it's not that we hate it. We had fun doing it. It was just that it became this sort of thing where, we did other stuff, and we didn't want to be remembered as the band that just did the Ghostbusters theme tune, So we've kind of like parked that, and we don't do it live. When we reformed, we did do it because Chris, our old singer, was like, well, people are going to want to hear it, and we did it. So like, let's do it. And we were like, okay, fair enough. So we did like half of it, I think. But yeah, it was just one of those. I wouldn't say I regret it. It was just, it's not what I want to be remembered for. Not the band to be remembered for, which was what it was looking at the time. That was what we were going to be remembered for.
Yeah. I can picture you sitting at the pub with some drunk guy going, "Something strange in the neighborhood. Come on, sing it." You got to get sick of that shit, Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who are you gonna call? Not you. Yeah.
Oh God.
I'm gonna call for the check, is what I'm gonna do.
There's this crazy there's this band called Leo I accidentally stumbled across on Spotify, and they do nothing but take songs and make them into metal. They have like 40 some albums of nothing but metal covers, and some of them never ever should have been done. They do a metal YMCA. I had it on just to hear what it was like. He came out and shut it off. He was like, "This is horrible."
It takes a lot for me to actually turn something off, but I had to get up. Stop YMCA done metal stuff.
Well, back to I love your guitar work on this album. I like how sometimes you let the bass take the spotlight, but I really like the way, like, it kind of, your riffs, they kind of slowly morph into like something else. What things inspired you to incorporate all these great things?
Well, I suppose personally, my kind of like inspirations come from, I grew up like in a liking heavy metal, so Maiden, Priest, Sabbath, Thin Lizzy, and that's kind of like my sort of like, and it's kind of always stayed with me. When you get when I got to sort of like teenage years, you kind of hear the harder stuff, and you want something that's a bit more, a bit more aggressive, a bit more, and you start progressing to the Metallicas, the Slayers, and then onwards from that, really, into the Bay Area thrash thing. And that's but my kind of like, I always say that if there's any influence you can hear, I think with Zentrex, I always say we're a thrash metal band with the emphasis on metal, because we've kind of got that sort of like metal influence. You can hear it. We're not like super extreme, we're not on a super extreme band. We're kind of like a thrash band that's got a heavy metal influence. We've got the harmony guitars and that kind of thing. It's like and I put it down to sort of like what I like, which is kind of like I like all sorts. I like anything really that's got a guitar in it, if I'm honest. But I like, you know, my sort of, I grew up liking like Rainbow and Michael Schenker, Scorpions, you know, and those things just stay with you, and they don't go away. You know, they're the stuff that I listen to, like probably even today. I think I probably did listen to some Schenker today. You know, it's like it's just the way it is, really.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I saw something the other day, and you might already know this, but I had no idea this. Did you know Joe Lynn Turner never had hair? Ever.
Yes. Well, I read it. I read that as well.
I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, so you
No.
read what I was talking about. That blew me away. 3 years old, lose
Yeah.
your hair. I know. I'll be a rock star. Wow. And how did he pull that off? That's crazy. I mean, I had no idea that.
Yeah, I think there's probably quite a few of those guys that like I've got some help with the hair, you know. I don't know, you know.
Well, it's one thing to lose it like the Gene Simmons, you know, after you have your youth, but to never have hair in rock and roll, that's tough. That's tough. I huge respect after reading that. Yeah.
So, with how many guitars do you think that you own?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't own that many. I've got 14, which isn't a lot. I've got friends like for example, Andy Sneaper, the producer guy. I know he's got over 100. He's always buying the bloody things. He's like, it's just like he sends me like pictures of these, you know, guitars he just bought, and he's like, Andy, you don't know what you've got anymore. He has no idea. You know, I'm like, I'm sure you've already got 3 of those. You know, yeah. Wow. So I've got. In fact, this is you're in my room here, so I can probably show you a couple of them. I've got a couple of. This is my Michael Amott Flying V.
Okay.
With a ditch in it. I've got. This is my main. This is the guitar that I recorded all the 7 words. This is it's a Japanese Jackson. I've got 2 of these now, and these are great guitars for the money. They're really well built. They're like just brilliant. They don't look that impressive in the. I know Jackson make, if you're a guitar person, they make like a $200 guitar that looks like this, but when you pick it up, you know that this isn't a $200 guitar. It's a great guitar.
Yeah, I have an Ibanez that looks almost exactly like that. It's got the same pickup layout, same everything. So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I can relate.
There's that one. They're great. I've got in here. I've got some more. I do own I own one Gibson. I've got a Les Paul Custom that's is physically the most heaviest guitar in the world. I haven't picked up a guitar or a bass that's heavier than this Les Paul Custom. I think it's got some like spanners in it or something somewhere that somebody left in there when they were making it. It is so heavy. I've got my first guitar. I still got my first guitar, that proper guitar from when I was 15, which is a Kramer.
Wow.
I was a massive Eddie Van Halen fan, so it was like, oh, you know, and my dad bought it for me. It was like £500, which was in 1985 was quite a lot of money back then, you know. But yeah, still a great guitar. Yeah, I've got a few other Jacksons and a few other bits in back.
You start off with that Kramer, you got to stick with it. You know, I mean,
yes,
there's your motivation to stay with it. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, couple questions about Sneap. I mean, of course, I loved him, and you know, I loved him in Sabbath and etc. But I mean, what he did on that last Priest album that he did, wow! I mean, as a producer, and your album too, that man he's. If I'm on the fence and I see he produced something, I'll buy it just because he produced it. He's one of those kind of guys, you know, just such an ear.
He's a great guy as well. The thing about Andy, I actually went over to his place because he lent us a case recently to do these tours, and I took it back to him on Wednesday. So I've not seen him for a while, and he's just great. He's a great guy. I mean, you know, and the thing about Andy is he does know a lot about the technology and all the gear and all that size. But the main thing is that he knows a lot about heavy metal. So he's just a massive fan.
Yeah.
He's kind of the same, So I mean, obviously Priest was like his like dream band, like his favorite band ever. So way before I knew that way before he had anything to do with them. And then when he messaged me and said like, "Oh, you're not going to believe it. They want me to do their album." And then after that, it was like, "You're not going to believe this. They want me to play on the tour," And I'm like, because when he first messaged me, I was like, "Oh, what? Are you going to get up and play Breaking the Law with them at some gig, some English gig?" It's like, no, they want me to play guitar for Glenn. So yeah, he's brilliant. He's such a great guy. And like I say, he's got such a vast knowledge of the music that I think that's the reason. He knows what things should sound like, and when it's not great. I mean, he knows that heavy metal should be exciting, and that's why I think most of the stuff he does, it all sounds exciting. It's cool to listen to. It sounds present there.
It sounds real too. It sounds analog, even if it's not. Somehow it sounds.
Yes.
It doesn't sound computerized or synthetic at all, like a lot of metal does nowadays.
Yeah, definitely. He has a thing about that with he calls it laptop metal, and he's like, no, you don't want that. That sounds laptop metal, And it's like,
oh, I'm gonna steal that. That's great.
Yeah.
Laptop. Well,
should we play our game?
yeah, let's do it.
All right. So we play a game with most of our guests.
Yes.
I have a random questions between 1 and 100. So I want you to pick 5 numbers that will correspond to questions I will ask you.
I'm quite scared now.
Okay.
Well, do you want all the numbers in a row or one at a time?
No, just any number, any 5 numbers you want to pick between 1 and 100.
Yeah, go ahead and give them to me, and then we'll go through.
It's got to be 7. 11. This is no other reference apart from it's my birthday, 69.
You didn't have to give a preamble on that. That'd be okay. Everybody picks 69.
Let's go with 51. 50.
And one more.
See what I did there? 6.
4, 5. All right, we got 5.
All right, cool.
All right, the first one. What is the best Wi-Fi name that you have ever seen?
Oh no, I'm useless at these. The best Wi-Fi name that you've ever seen. I can't think of any. that are even remotely funny. Can I come back to that one?
Okay.
We'll come back to that one. We'll move on to 11. What makes you laugh way too hard?
Definitely either Monty Python or The Young Ones, which was the British TV series with Rick Mayall, and the offshoot from The Young Ones was the Bad News Tour, which is the heavy metal thing. Which, if you haven't seen,
it's great.
You must have seen it.
I've seen it many times.
Yeah, I use all those quotes in like daily, that from those films. I mean, more so than Spinal Tap. Obviously, everybody uses like, it goes to 11 and Hello Cleveland. Yeah. But the Bad News stuff is just like, it has me in fits of laughter. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
I love it.
We get along great. I grew up watching. They started doing Flying Circus on MTV when I was a boy.
Right.
So my brother This was the era of the VHS. So my brother started taping them, and we just fell in love with Flying Circus. It wasn't enough the movies. We had to get into the episodes.
I mean, it's Monty Python's a weird thing, and not everyone gets it. And I understand why not everyone gets it.
Yeah.
But the kind of like, it's a very British sense of humor, and we all have that in the band. It's very, very brutal sense of humor.
It's great. Yeah.
All right. 69. If you could learn a skill you do not currently possess, what would it be?
welding. I'd love to be a welder.
Oh, really?
Welding.
That would be a brilliant skill to have. Oh, I'm playing piano. I'd like to play piano. I can like do like 3 chords or something on the piano, you know. But welding is one of those things that I always wanted to. My uncle who recently died, actually, he was a welder, and it's a massive regret of mine that I didn't get him to teach me how to weld. What a brilliant skill to be able to like bond metal. What a fantastic thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, welding.
That's so cool. Yeah.
It always makes me think of Flashdance, the only female welder that was ever in a movie.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
There
I'm
you
like, why
go.
did you
Yeah,
pick
I
that?
could do
I'm
that
sure
as
you're
well.
into that one. Yeah.
Let's see. 51. Do you have a favorite smell and why?
Do I have a favorite smell? I do, I suppose. It's probably either you know, when you take the top off like a marker pen. I love that smell. That's so bad.
Okay.
I mean, it's just that there's probably like a really like bad reason for why I like it. It's just but I love it. Yeah. It's not weed.
Yeah.
That's not one of my favorite smells. I actually don't like the smell of
Okay.
weed. I don't really do it. Our bass player does, and I'm like, can you do that somewhere else? But yeah, I love the smell of a marker pen. It's just brilliant.
Mm.
I'm looking now to see if I've
I
got
love
one.
it.
In fact,
I love
there
this.
we go.
I think mine would have to be. Oh, there it is. Okay. There it is.
Yeah.
Mine would have to be walking into the old record store, you know, the smell of that vinyl back in the day when I would just.
Oh no, that's a
I'm gonna
good
be
one.
in here for
Actually,
hours.
yes.
And then go on
Actually,
the
I've
paper and the
got 2
vinyl.
more.
Yeah.
I've got 2 more that I'm going to add. Yeah,
Okay.
opening new vinyl. That's a smell.
Oh, yeah.
And the other one, when I used to smoke, a packet of cigarettes, it only had to be Marlboro cigarettes. The smell of the tobacco, like when you opened the packet, was amazing. It was far better than when you actually lit it. It was just like, but I don't smoke for like, I don't know, 15, 20 years. But that smell is still, I can still smell it now. Yes. Oh, wow. That's a good
That's
question.
part of the evil tobacco companies. That's part of their evil plan. Is you open the, you know, that's just going to be so great, and then it's not.
You
just
know,
a
you're
teaser.
probably right, because it wasn't. It was only recently I watched one of these like TV shows where they show you, you know, like where they go into a factory and they show you stuff being made, and I didn't realize that when you buy like, you know, you buy instant coffee, they put the smell into the coffee, so that when you open it,
Oh, yeah.
it smells of coffee. I was like, oh, right. I didn't realize that. I thought that was actually just the smell of the coffee. It was like, no, they put it in there. So, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's funny. I used to smoke years ago when I was in, you know, early college. And our running joke used to be that we're the only group of people that you can openly discriminate against. Smoking, get the hell out. You go stand outside. I mean, you can't do that with anybody except smokers. Oh, well, he's a smoker. Do we want to invite him? I mean, people were brutal, and it's just gotten worse, you know. So I'm glad I quit. You know.
Oh, yeah. No, it's
You're
definitely
forced
the
in.
most stupid thing you can do nowadays is like, you know, smoke. I mean, I started smoking when I joined the band because everyone else did in the band. And it was like, oh, well, I'll do that as well then. That was a clever thing to do.
Yeah.
But it's funny, but watching TV shows, we were talking about this the other day. It's now a thing on when they show like historic TV shows. So it's like a drama, and they're showing like the 70s. They'll show people smoking on airplanes, you know, and it's like,
Oh yeah,
what was that a thing? Oh yeah, it was. You know, people used to smoke on airplanes.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, you at least have a good reason that you started smoking. My reason was even dumber. I wanted to look like Joe Perry with the guitar and the cigarette hanging out.
Yeah.
And I used to light it and pose and play in the mirror. Or Van Halen, you know. I strictly did it to look like a rock star. And then, of course, I couldn't stop. You know.
God.
It's dumb. You know?
Yeah, we always laugh at the old Cary Grant movies where you're in an office and everybody's lighting up. We're in a police
Yes.
station. We're like, really? Okay.
The hospital.
The hospital.
The hospital. They're smoking. That's crazy.
All right. Number 50. What is the worst food you ever tried?
What's the good one? And you're an Englishman, so I can't wait to hear this.
I know. Actually, the worst food I've ever tried. I mean, obviously that down to what you like, isn't it? The food that you've tried. If it had to be the thing that totally came to my mind then is I quite like cheese. I can eat all sorts of different types of cheese. And we stayed in a hotel in Luxembourg probably about 5 or 6 years ago, coming back from a trip from Austria. And this cheese came and I could not eat this cheese. This cheese was feet. It was horrendous. It was just like, normally I can sort of like get through it, and like, oh yeah, it's quite whatever that cheese, like with a bit of wine or something. This cheese was just pure feet. And it was like, I'm sorry, that's beat me completely. I cannot eat that. So it's feet cheese, I'm afraid, is my answer.
Defeated by cheese.
Well, you recently took part in the MTV Headbangers Ball. How was that tour with Violence, Whiplash, and Artillery? How was it playing with those guys?
It was great, in fact, because we didn't know any of those guys. And so when we got to Amsterdam, which was the first place we met up at Amsterdam airport, we were sharing a tour bus with Violence. So we met all those guys, and I like to think we made some new friends. We got on really good. They're really nice guys. That's cool. We had some interesting nights talking with those guys. The guys from Artillery also are awesome as well, and the guys from Whiplash. I was so impressed with Tony from Whiplash. The guy would he's 62, I think. And he had a bottle of vodka on the rider every night. And he's like, dude, you want a shot of vodka? And I'm like, it's all right, Tony. I've got a gig to do. It's fine. And at the end, the last show, he just somersaulted into the crowd. And the crowd surfed him to the back. And it was like,
wow.
Well done, Stacey.
Yeah.
They were great guys. Yeah, we had a blast with those guys. They were great. They were great. And all the Violence guys, just super nice guys. Really, we had get up sometimes. We'd all get up in different times. You get that with like on tours and stuff, and you get blokes on buses. I'm the guy that gets up really early, and you get guys that just stay in bed all day, and but me and Sean, the singer, would get up and just go and find somewhere to have coffee and just talk about just real life stuff. And Phil's such a nice guy. Phil Demmel is such a great guy, and talking to him about all sorts of shenanigans that he's been up to. But yeah, super nice. We had a great time, and the gigs were great as well. It was great to get out to. We played a few new places. Sorry, go on.
Oh, what happened with the Dublin thing where you guys got your equipment locked up and you couldn't get it open? How did that happen?
No, so we this was I think it was in May of last year. We did these shows. We were playing in Scotland, in Glasgow, and then we get a ferry across to Ireland, and we were playing in Dublin. And we played the gig in Glasgow, and we got this, we hired this splitter bus that's like, it's got, you put your gear in the back, and then the guys go in the front. And we got to the ferry, and the woman said, so can you just open the back, and, we can have a look what's in? We were like, yeah, fine, yeah. And we were like, it won't open. Like, what do you mean it won't open? We're like, it won't unlock. The van won't unlock at the back.
Oh, God.
Like, everybody's coming round and everybody's having a go, and it's like how different can you try and unlock a van? You know, it's like you have a go, and then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So if in the end, the woman at the ferry just said, "Oh, it's fine, just get on the ferry." So we got on the ferry. And we're like, right, we can't get in the gear. We can't get the gear in that van. So we rang the recovery people, and they said, "Oh, it's fine. Just go to Dublin. You know, you'll be there at sort of 1 o'clock. It'll be fine. We'll get someone to come and unlock it." Great, no problem. And they couldn't unlock it. They got there and they just couldn't do it. In the end, we started to sort of like help try our own ways. We broke this door, but we still couldn't get in it. We bent this door. We had a pickaxe. Somebody had a pickaxe on the side of the road. We borrowed it, and we were trying to like force this lock, and we just couldn't do it. And Dublin in Ireland, on a sort of, it got to about 3 o'clock, and after that time in Dublin, you can't get anywhere. Everybody was just finished. It was Friday, and it was like we were trying to get a locksmith to come out. Nobody would come out. They were all in the pub. Yeah. And it was like, right. So we had to cancel it. And it was awful. It was really awful. And so we were outside this with all our gear. We just couldn't get at it. But we're going back in March this time to play those shows for those people that unfortunately came out and couldn't get to see us. But yeah, it was like a Spinal Tap thing, you know. It was like,
I was just going to say, it is. I can picture Nigel going, "Do you have the jaws of life? Perhaps you have the jaws of life." That is pure Spinal Tap.
It was pure Spinal Tap. We couldn't get in the van. It's like, there you go.
Yeah, again, your welding could have helped you with that too. If you had your blowtorch,
exactly.
You could probably blowtorched it open.
Well, we could have probably like angle grinded the door off, which somebody suggested.
Yeah.
But then we would have had the problem of getting home, which was another issue. So we decided not to go down the route of actually sort of like destroying the van.
Destroying it. Wow.
So if you want to secure a van
for you guys.
I was going to say, if you want to secure a van,
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
So next for us, we just got like a bank of shows that we're going back to Ireland. We've got some UK stuff. We're getting bits of European stuff. We're kind of like one of the main problems for us is we were hoping to get on a lot of the European festivals, but they're still, believe it or not, they've still got a COVID backlog. So it's still like a little bit like, oh no, all the festivals are like booked up for 2 years. So it's like, right. But we're getting offers and stuff's coming in. So, you know, we'll, I think by the time we get to sort of like summertime, we'll have a lot more sort of booked in for the rest of the back end of the year.
Yeah, we hear that from everybody, that it's just such a backlog because of every festival is just stuffed with bands.
Any maybe US plans to come over?
Not yet, as yet. We'd love it. I mean, we're always getting like people asking us, and we've had a couple of suggestions. Hopefully, I mean, obviously, for a small band like us to come over financially, probably the only way would be for us to play on like a festival of some sort in the US. So I'm not ruling that out, but at the minute there's nothing that I can sort of like say, yes, we're coming over. But we'd love to do it, you know. I mean, maybe like the 70,000 tons is just kind of like, you know.
Yeah.
That maybe
the airline tickets now are so expensive. I mean, international flights have just gone up so much. It's crazy.
Yeah. Which obviously doesn't help with all that stuff. But yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we can make it over before the end of the year. That'd be great.
Well, you're officially invited.
Yes,
so come on.
We invited.
Right.
Okay. We'll close it up.
Yep. Alrighty. Thank you so much for doing this and taking time out of your Saturday. And we definitely are going to keep our fingers crossed you get over by us because we love seeing live music.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Great.
The Sounds of Decay!
Sounds of Decay 1. All right. Starting off, let's do Oak Pantheon, a band from Minnesota. Metal Archives labels their sound progressive black folk metal.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with it.
I don't know. I guess that's as close as you're going to get to a
Yeah.
description.
It looks like these guys have been at it since 2011. And the new album, The Absence, is their third full length.
Yep.
The mainstays are multi-instrumentalists Tanner Swenson and Sammy Satie. And there is a lot on offer here.
Yeah, I mean, it's got, there's a song title that has the word bard in it. Yeah. Acoustic folk interludes, dark piano exercises, crazy fits of black metal speed, twin guitar harmonies, and some really catchy choruses. I mean, this is a weird fucking record, but it's great. I like it. Yeah.
It's weird, but it really captures you and kind of pulls you in.
Yeah, lyrics kind of breed on the human condition, anxiety, manipulation, disappointment, shout or two at organized religion. So it's different subject matter than your normal death or black metal lyric. And there's even a cello or two thrown in for good measure. So let's play a song from this naughty riff monster of a record. This song is called Listen. From Orange County, California comes our next band, Scalp. An interesting blend of power violence and grind that's head and shoulders above the rest. Let's see what I did there. Take that, AI comedian.
Oh my God.
All right, go ahead.
The EP is only 12 minutes long, but it's potent.
Yeah.
The guitars compress to ridiculous levels.
Somebody called it compressed core.
compressed core.
Yeah.
You've got this like maniacal screaming feedback squalls. You know, think Antigama or Pig Destroyer with some hardcore swirled in,
That's pretty
and you'll be close to the sound of Scalp.
I went and saw Pig Destroyer. I want to say about 7 or 8 years ago. I was doing the web scene, and they offered to give me passes to go see him, and I was like, no, I just want to be anonymous. I just want to enjoy the show. I don't want to have to review it. I don't want to try to talk to the band or anything. And of course, as soon as the show's over, I talked to Scott Hall for like 10 minutes because he had just helped engineer the Pentagram First Days Here thing, and I was just we had to geek out about Pentagram while he was loading equipment talking to me. I was just like, I should have just taken the free tickets anyway. So anyway.
We will be seeing Pig Destroyer.
Oh, they're on the lineup for the Hell to Harbor? Fucking A.
Yeah.
I like it. So let's play a song for you. It's called Broken Vein. And this is fun for the whole family. I think you should pipe some Scalp into Chuck E. Cheese next time you have a toddler party there, and see if you can get the extra parents with their lattes running for the door.
Sounds of Decay 3. This one's from Germany. It's Leper Colony. This is a 3 death metal journeymen, 2 Swede and 1 German.
Yep.
So it's a blending. They have come together to create perhaps 2023's first truly great record.
It's amazing. I can't stop listening to it. The drums have this full sound, big tom rolls, double pedal violence. He's great on the ride cymbal. The guitar tunes, the production harkens back to some of the Mars sound stuff that I loved. And that artwork, I mean, look at that. It's as old school
Love
cool as it
the
gets.
red
Yeah.
and all the dead army.
Lots of Slayer in the brains of these graybeards. Check out the vocal and drum patterns and Flesh Crawl Demise. It's pure Araya Lombardo. And then you listen to something like Perdition's End. That riff is it's very South of Heaven-esque, like the kind of rambling riff that the band used to write back when they were still around and good. But the slower doomier segments are kind of more in the obituary realm. There's somebody actually online called Obituary the Arby's of death metal.
I guess that's good.
And I thought I love Arby's. I've never I ring the bell.
I think that's a compliment.
It's pretty
because
good.
Arby's is one of the
Reliable.
consistent, reliable, putting out decent products.
They have the meat.
Places around,
They
have the meat,
They have
just
the
like
meat.
Obituary has the fucking meat. So
Yep, there
let's
we
go
go.
with that.
Anyway, so yeah, the slower segments here, like the song Leper Colony. Hey, just think, in 10 years on the internet, people be geeking out and they'll be like, do you think Leper Colony is as good as Deicide? That's the kind of shit that I see online. Anyway, and this guitar solo in the song Leper Colony is almost like a power metal guitar solo. It's very interesting, very majestic. Anyway, this is an incredible record, and there's no vinyl yet. But did you look at their merch? Did you see that they have a denim jacket? You can get a denim jacket with the album cover. Yeah, I figured you saw that because you always look at the merch. So, so let's play the title track. This is Leper Colony. This was a fun show. My goodness. I just need to know how I'm going to be able to improve my dating profile incorporating Star Trek elements. That's where I got lost in the show. That was the turning point where I just started to question humanity. So we talked about a lot. We talked about a lot of technology related stuff. Yeah, we talked about
Street light interference.
how AI will never take over comedy because look what you get. We talked about how stubborn the fucking baby boomers are.
With their resistance to technology and then kind of poor integration into said technology.
My husband passed away last year. Oh, laughing till I'm crying.
Oh. This has been the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast. Special thanks to Kristian Havard of Zentrex for appearing on the show. We loved hanging out with you, and please make sure to check out 7 Words and the rest of their compilation. Snaggletooth theme, courtesy of Gustav Jord of Defleshed. Sounds of Decay theme, courtesy of Steve Rathbone from Lair of the Minotaur. Our Decay bands for this week, check them out: Leper Colony, Scalp, and Oak Pantheon. All content, trademark 2023. The Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast.
Oh, you potheads are the same.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.